if you're ambitious when it comes to getting clients and building your business, but maybe you're just a little bit lazy, or maybe you're just super busy, it can feel like there's a never-ending list of stuff that needs to get done. And there's plenty of stuff to distract us from what we know we want to do. So I'm going to share with you this one thing that you can add to your day that's going to simplify things so that everything you're doing to try and get clients, to try and get new customers, it'll make it feel like it's kind of like on easy mode. And I'm super excited to share this with you because this is something I've been doing for months now and I've been tracking it. And just last week, a colleague friend of mine reached out and he said how impressed he was with how much I've been doing, with what he's been seeing out in the marketplace. And when I told him all I was doing, all I was focusing on, I realized that this is the kind of thing that is a little bit like a cheat code. Now, I've been doing this on and off for years in different businesses when I really need to take some ground. And the first time I did this was when I was in a family business years ago. We were about $250,000 in the hole, and I used this to soar out of that debt in the space of like 9 months, leading to incredible opportunities and for me, a whole new different career direction. But now I'm using this same method again to rapidly build back my audience that was lost last year due to an error at one of the, let's just say, biggest social media companies. And I'm growing my audience back again. How it happened isn't important. All that matters is the rate things are changing. That's what you can take away from this video because it doesn't feel like I'm doing that much. So I've taken this stuff and I've simplified it even more, and I realize it's perfect for coaches, consultants, people who have courses, content creators, and basically any small business who wants to get perfect customers, clients coming to them. Now, the first thing I want to say is that there are kind of like two kinds of lazy. The first kind of laziness is when you know what you should be doing, but you hate the idea of it, and so you just procrastinate. For me in business, this is just like outreach. I can't stand anything to do with outreach or just trying to reach out to people, bothering people so I can try and sell them stuff. I can't stand it. And I'll do anything instead of doing that stuff. So if anything I've said so far is describing your situation, then make sure you watch this video to the end because I want to give you this method. I honestly, it feels like everything is getting easier. The second kind of laziness is I actually don't see it as laziness, but it appears that way. Sometimes what can come across as laziness is actually a consequence of overwhelm. And this can happen when we see how much needs to be done and we either don't know what to do first or we don't have enough time in the day, so we have to pick and choose and triage what to do. And sometimes we do things that are the easiest rather than the most important. And then by the time the day comes to an end, we've only got a little bit done. And then that compounds over time. And the effect gets worse and worse. And in the end, you're kind of left by just doing things that you think are important, but it can come across like really you're being lazy because you're not doing the most important things. So now let's get what I've been doing so you can copy it. Now you may have read the book, The One Thing. It's an awesome book. If you haven't read it, I'll put a picture up here. Get it, read it like twice. It'll rewire the way your brain works. But the point here, to keep it simple, is to just take all this stuff that we know we need to do and let's just think of all these individual things like dominoes, all different sized dominoes. Now, it takes a lot of energy to push over a big domino, but a lot less energy to flick over a small domino. But the cool thing is that a small domino will hit another bigger domino, all by itself. You just have to push the first one. And this is the concept we're dealing with here. So now, as an example, we're talking about getting clients, okay, and getting customers. So let's get specific. So these dominoes that we have, we've got talking to prospects to make the sale, processing transactions, getting the leads, working the leads, making content, growing our audience. We have making social posts. We've got making videos and all that goes along with that if you're making video. Maybe you have a newsletter or a blog or a podcast, or we have email that needs to go out. We've got call bookings, nurture sequences. Maybe you're doing special appearances and trainings or guest speaking. Maybe you're doing Facebook Lives or Instagram Lives, or maybe you're running a Facebook group. All this stuff that could, should, and maybe need to be happening. Now, you can spend all day, one by one, pushing these dominoes over, just checking things off your list. You can do all that. And usually people will do this. They'll stick to their list and they'll be rigid with it, be real disciplined. And then 2 weeks goes past. It's too much to manage and it's just overwhelming and everyone just burns out. And then because you're burning out, what you end up focusing on is the big dominoes again, the big stuff, the really tricky stuff. Like you've got to get these sales over the line. You've got to bring the cash in. So you end up having to resort to reaching out and doing outreach activities. So you're spending the same amount of time doing a particular activity that you hate, which leads you then to be feeling like you're lazy because you don't want to do these things. It's just a vicious circle. Now remember, what I'm sharing with you is not complicated. This simplifies everything, but I'm almost afraid that by sharing it with you, you'll think it's too simple, that it won't work for you, that it can't possibly be this effective. But I want you to keep an open mind. So let's take a look at the stuff that we know we need to do to market our business, to get customers. Now, in the book, The One Thing, there's this one quote that stood out to me the most, that transformed the way I was thinking. And this quote is, "What is the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary?" So looking back at our example, let's just rearrange these dominoes. Let's arrange them so that the outcomes which are actually the biggest, most difficult things to achieve, the dominoes that are the hardest to knock down, let's put all of these at the end, and the smaller, more controllable items, these are all going to be at the start. Now let's look at this stuff and ask the question, what is the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? Now, I've thought about this a lot over the years, and there is actually one activity that makes everything easier or unnecessary. And the answer is writing. And it doesn't even matter what you're writing. If you just set a single task for yourself every day to write, every one of these dominoes will either fall over by themselves or become a hell of a lot easier to achieve. As a simple example, most people think I've got to write a Facebook post. So they dedicate 15 minutes, they pump out some average Facebook post, and then they wonder why their stuff stinks. Well, what if you were automatically every day writing for 60 minutes? Well, what about 2 hours? If you were writing every day for 2 hours, how quickly do you think you would have a week's worth of social media posts all written? How soon until you have your newsletter done at like a really nice standard? I mean, how soon until your writing starts getting good, like really good? How soon until your headlines start to steal genuine attention? How soon, if you're writing every day, how soon until your emails become like impossible to not open? How soon until your calls to action that are everywhere are compelling ideal prospects to reach out to you? How soon until your ideas in your content get sharper, your sales letters get easier to consume, the way you speak on camera becomes more compelling? How soon until everything gets easier? If you want to say goodbye to having to do outreach ever again, your ticket out is your content. It doesn't matter whether you're paying for the content or not, or whether you're using ads or not. It's all content. Our excited prospects come to us because of epiphanies that they've had through our content. Everything you do will get easier, faster, more effective because of the one small domino right at the start, to write every day. How much do you write? Well, that's completely up to you. If 30 minutes for you right now is a bit of a stretch, then just start there. You'll see incredible changes. Now, set a timer on your phone and just start writing. For me, I set a 45-minute timer on my iPhone. I'll show you, but I'm using the iPhone to record this. I just set a 45-minute timer and I try and repeat that process 1 to 4 times a day. Ultimately, I want to be getting to about 15 hours a week of just solid writing time. So apart from the content that's getting better and it's going out there and it's working, my audience is growing, apart from all of that, my mind is thinking faster. My decisions are easier to make. Good ideas are easier to identify. I'm a better friend because I've got more interesting things to say. I'm a better partner because I've been writing so much that I'm happy to just listen and understand more. I'm just a better version of myself in general. But when it comes to business, the quality of my writing is improving. Almost every post I put on social has engagement. My emails are getting replies. My newsletter is growing quickly. I'm waking up to leads in my inbox. People are using my calculator a few times a week. I have people responding and getting on the Growth Accelerator waitlist. And perfect prospects are booking calls with me without any need to do outreach to see if there's any way that we can do some business together. And the number one thing that I'm measuring, actively protecting, guarding, ensuring that I'm getting done each day is just one single task. And that is to just track how many minutes of writing that I can get done. The future of your business is all about conveying ideas. It's what we're all doing. It's ideas, explaining the value and helping people see that the value is more important than the money that they've got in their pocket. It's what I do every day when I go down the road and pick up some chicken so I can cook it in my air fryer. It's what I do when I go and pay my dues at the gym or go to the pool hall or go down the road to see the banh mi lady. I want the value that they've got more than the money that's in my pocket. It's what you and I do when we see programs or courses or mentorship online, and we hope that that stuff is going to help us get where we want to go. And the better that you get at this, the better that any of us get at distilling these ideas and simplifying them, the more success we'll have in communicating them. Building a business is not for the faint of heart, but it can be incredibly rewarding. If you like doing difficult things, you're going to love this next video. It's about my alternative method to goal setting. I'll see you in the next video.